Coming up, human remains possibly found in Murrells Inlet. We're taking you live to the scene.
Plus, people in one community near Carolina Forest are upset after hearing multi-family units will be built in their neighborhood.
And a school in Marion County still closed after Hurricane Florence left it unsuitable for students and staff.
If it'll reopen and how parents are responding after the lottery.
Rooster. That's what. You could just say things are starting to quiet down. Or what's going on, what's the latest from the scene.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WNBF News at 7.
Let's start your news at 7 with a live look over downtown Florence tonight. It's chilly, but luckily a dry night out there.
Pretty shot there. You're going to want to still keep those rain jackets handy, though. Another round of heavy rain you need to know about.
Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold here now with a look at a nasty morning commute. Jamie.
Yeah, for sure. We got another round of locally heavy rainfall moving in late tonight and very early Thursday, and that is going to set us up for a very wet Thursday morning commute. Those rain chances steadily increase as we head through the rest of the overnight hours tonight. Just a little bit of drizzle out there, especially inland the next couple of hours. But notice by the time we get towards daybreak on Thursday, those rain chances way up there at around 70%. And some of that rain likely to be on the heavy side as well. Now, right now, the only rain we're watching here is west of I-95 with some mist and drizzle and chilly temperatures here. Some of that drizzle just 43 in Hartsville, low 50s near the beaches. But notice all that rain starts to move in. It also brings some warmer weather with it. Now, the PD 45 and rain tomorrow morning, but we're all the way at 63 for the Grand Strand. More on that rain and those up and down temperatures tomorrow in my full forecast.
Tonight we continue to follow breaking news from the South Strand at 7.
Authorities still on the scene after reports of human remains found along a bike path in Murrells Inlet.
Ian Klein is live there now at the scene. Ian, what's the latest?
Yeah, things are starting to quiet down now. We're off of Highway 17 and 17 Business as you head into the Marsh Walk. You can see behind me a lot of those Georgetown sheriffs and the coroner that were here at 6 o'clock have pretty much left. We do have one single sheriff's officer that seems to be staying here just to kind of guard the scene at the moment. But traffic's still moving through. This portion of the bike path, though, was shut down for a brief amount of time while they kind of tried to get their bearings around them and tried to figure out what was going on. Now, what we were told was around 4 o'clock was when the call came in that human remains were found in this area. Now, these were skeletal remains, which make it a little bit more tougher to identify who this person was. And that's kind of the main question right now. How long has this been here? Who exactly this person was? We had the chance to speak with Jason Leslie. He's with the Georgetown Sheriff's Department and talked to him about the science, forensic science that goes behind trying to identify a human skeleton versus a human body.
There would be ways of identifying depending on the bones that are there, dental records if there's a jawbone, and potentially other ways to identify him. But we're so early in this investigation right now. We're just trying to get control of the scene and retrieve evidence.
Information still pretty limited at this time. Right now they're trying to ask for anyone that has any information of someone that might have gone missing in this area, whether it be recently or a while ago, any kind of suspicious activity that they might have seen in this area, and that's all going through the Georgetown County Sheriff's Department. And if we have any more information, we'll be sure to update you on air and online. Reporting live in Murrells Inlet, Ian Klein, WNBF News.
For the first time tonight, we're seeing pictures of the Horry County Sheriff's Office van that was carrying the 2 mental health patients who drowned nearly 2 months ago. Nicolette Green and Wendy Newton died after authorities say a deputy drove around a barricade and into floodwaters while transporting the 2 patients to different mental health facilities. Take a look at your screen here. This is a picture of the van from the outside on a tow truck. The second photo shows the cage where the 2 women sat. If you look closely, you can see Nicolette Green's hat on the floor there. In the third picture here, you can see a hole in the roof of that van. Earlier today, we sat down with a man who says he's also been transported in a sheriff's office van as a mental health patient. He wants to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, but he provided us documentation proving he was admitted to a mental health hospital earlier this year. Here's what he says about his experience in the van.
I slid around, banged my head, even with the seatbelt on, just on the waist. There was nothing to hold on to, and it was just an unbelievable type of transport.
We have much more on this story on WNBFnews.com.
A suspect's on the loose tonight. This follows a chase that Horry County police say ended near Carolina Forest High School this afternoon. Horry County deputies say that the chase started on Singleton Road around 3:20 this afternoon. That's Singleton Ridge Road. They say the deputies were responding to a narcotics complaint and attempted a traffic stop. And that's when they say the suspects tried to just drive off. The vehicle chase ended on Carolina Forest Boulevard near the high school when the 3 suspects took off on foot. Officials say that driver and another person were taken into custody, but the third person got away. We're told the search for that suspect is over for the night.
An investigation is underway in Marlboro County after deputies say a student at Blenheim Elementary Middle School brought a weapon to school yesterday. Officers responded to the school today after reports of a weapon on campus. They conducted a safety sweep of the school and did not find anything, but a student was later questioned and confessed to bringing a firearm to school the day before and showing it to other students. The firearm was found at the student's home. The student was taken into custody and is charged with carrying a weapon on school property. The school district says it suspended the student and is considering expulsion.
Take a look at this man in custody after allegedly breaking into Socastee High School early this morning. Anthony Minerva is charged with second-degree burglary along with another charge in connection to that incident. The school posted online today saying the suspect entered the building by breaking a window and attempted to steal money from the school's vending machines, which were also damaged. Law enforcement was on the school's campus this morning out of an abundance of caution. We're told that suspect has no affiliation with the school or its students.
We now know the identity of the pedestrian who was struck and killed last night in Florence County. Officials there say 67-year-old Carolyn Johnson died after a car hit her while she was walking last night along the 800 block of West Evans Street. We're told the Florence Police Department is continuing to investigate.
People who live in the Clear Pond community are skeptical of plans for multifamily units in their mainly single-family home development. Located just off Gardner-Lacey Road, some who live in Clear Pond say they were unaware of the plans to build multifamily units until recently. But county officials say it's been zoned that way actually since 2003. Horry County Councilman Johnny Vaught says a lot of residents didn't realize it, but when the original plan was submitted back in 2003, that's when the multifamily housing was approved. Vaught says the original density was higher than what it is now, although he didn't have the exact number of units readily available this morning.
And as he built it out in homes, single-family homes and everything, he realized that he could reduce the density of the multifamily, so he's kept requesting a reduced density so that the number of multifamily units that are going in now, and I don't even have that number, but the number of the units that are going in is much reduced from the original plan in 2003.
And Vaught says homeowners reached out to him to voice their concerns. There will be a meeting at the Clear Pond Amenity Center Saturday at noon.
It's been nearly 2 months since Hurricane Florence swept through South Carolina. Today, some areas continue to deal with the damage left behind. Some parents in Marion County are speaking out after their children are still unable to go back to Britton's Neck Elementary School. The school is still closed because the storm left it unsuitable for teachers and students. Neil Watson talked with those parents about their concerns and what they say needs to be done by district officials.
The last time students and teachers stepped foot inside the classrooms here at Britton's Neck Elementary was September 10th. Now, more than 6 weeks later, parents have grown frustrated and say they're ready for things to get back to normal.
I just feel we want our kids back to B&E, because that's where they belong.
The parking lot at Britton's Neck Elementary remains empty. Hallways and classrooms untouched.
It's just everything's changed all the way from the kids to the staff. Everything is a lot harder on them than it used to be.
244 students now split between Easterling Primary School for kindergarten through 2nd grade and Marion Intermediate School for 3rd through 5th. District officials say after 15 days of being out of school because of Hurricane Florence, they had to come up with a plan to get students back into a learning environment. But it's a plan these parents say is proving to be tough on their kids.
It's like a road trip. Okay, we're going to stop here first and then put the children on the bus, then we're going to go to another school. It's crazy. It's too much for these children.
Even more so for those who have siblings in the same school.
I mean, you went from having sisters in one school to suddenly you got sisters going to 2 separate schools. Both of them like to be together. I like for them to be together.
We took the parents' concerns to the school district. Through email, a spokesperson said right now the district's reviewing multiple tests, including air quality, to ensure the health and safety of the students and staff. While parents agree safety is a top priority, they say they need to be more informed about what's happening in their community.
But the thing is, why is it taking this long just for you as a board member to let us as parents know what's going on? This is our children's school. This is where they belong.
School district officials could not say when the school will reopen, but say right now they are working on a plan to do so and will share that plan with parents as soon as they're able to. Reporting in Marion County, Nia Watson, WNBF News.
New at 7, police are investigating after a car drove through the Hot Fish Club restaurant building in Murrells Inlet. Happened around 5 this evening. South Carolina Highway Patrol says instead of hitting the brake, the driver hit the gas and plowed through the building. No injuries are reported and no charges will be filed in this case.
Coming up, why one of the Riverbank Zoo baboons recently had to have a root canal and how it could ultimately save his life. We're going to take you to Columbia next at 7.
You may not think of a root canal as a life-saving procedure, but for baboons at Riverbank Zoo in Columbia, it very well could be. Harry King finds out why.
When it comes to baboons, you don't want to be on the receiving end of a glance or a smile.
The eye contact would initiate as like, hey, you looking at me, you want to start something here, you got a problem with me, followed by the open mouth yawn, exposing those teeth, flexing their muscles, showing you, do you really want to mess with me?
They are social cues that signal aggression and keep order amongst a baboon troop.
Teeth are such an important part of social status in primates that we really want to keep their teeth in their mouths.
And because tooth problems can lead to other health problems, that's even more important for alpha male Macaulay.
He's a dominant male. If that became a problem for him in the wild, he could lose his status and potentially be driven out of a troop or even killed.
So when it was discovered during a routine checkup that Macaulay needed a root canal, vets called in the experts.
And he's worn it so much that he's worn it right into the little nerve space inside the root of the tooth.
Endodontist Bob Goheen is an expert on human root canals and insists while a baboon root canal may sound crazy, it's not.
It's very similar. They have, the teeth are a little different anatomically, but they still have the same kind of nerve spaces in them. They still have the same kind of dental infections. They respond just like humans do to the care we give our patients.
Thanks to a partnership with the zoo, Goheen has actually performed dozens of root canals on Riverbank's animals. He says the biggest challenge with a baboon can be the size of the canine tooth. It's twice the size of a human canine.
I wish I had some longer instruments. I sort of had to extend my instruments and do some tricks to try to get to the length of the root of that, to the end of that root.
Like a human root canal, the infection inside the tooth is removed, the tooth is disinfected, and then it's filled and sealed.
A lot of people think we take roots out, but we really just work inside of them. So the little space is very small.
But ultimately, that very small space makes a big difference. And after a successful procedure, it wasn't long before Macaulay went back out on exhibit and was back to flashing those pearly whites.
Throughout the day, if there's any trouble, he's not afraid to show those canines just to continue to do his job and make sure everything's running as it should.
The zoo's other male baboon, Bubba, also recently had to have a root canal. Zoo officials say both baboons have shown no signs of problems post-procedure, and they'll be out on exhibit.
Now, WNBF News First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
All right, cloudy, breezy, chilly, winter-like evening out there, especially inland where temperatures been stuck in the 40s all day and actually starting to drop a bit more now with a little bit of light rain coming into Hartsville, Bennettsville, and Laurinburg. Hartsville taking the prize is our cold spot right now at 43 with that light rain coming down. Hovering around 50 for Conway down to the Grand Strand. No rainfall yet, but that changes as we head through the rest of the overnight hours tonight as all of this moisture begins to shift its way into the Carolinas as once again another pretty impressive storm system rolls up the coast. Not only bringing rain, but also much like we saw earlier in the week, bringing around to very changeable temperatures. Notice here 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, forget the 40s and 50s we have right now. Temperatures go up after midnight, so we start the day across the beaches into the low 60s. But once you head from Conway westward into the PD, you're still into the mid 40s tomorrow morning. Pockets of heavy rain at times through that morning commute. And notice here as we head to the mid to late morning hours, we'll actually hit 70 across the Grand Strand. That warm air, though, not going to be able to put up much of a fight. Again, Conway westward, you're stuck in the 40s to near 50. Now, as we head towards lunchtime, still 70 at the beaches, 40s to near 50 inland, but the rain begins to taper off. But as the rain tapers off, the chilly weather starts to move back and temperatures fall as we head through the afternoon. In fact, notice at 3 o'clock, no more 70 for the Grand Strand. We're down into the 50s, eventually falling to the upper 40s and low 50s as we head towards that evening commute tomorrow evening. As far as additional rainfall goes, around an inch for most of us, but could be some spots here west of I-95, picking up another 2 inches of rain as this next rainmaker moves through. Good news is by Friday into the weekend, conditions improve dramatically. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up.
A Lowcountry marching band is making history.
For the 5th year in a row, the Wando High School band competed on a national level, this year taking home 6th place.
Colby Satterfield sat down with one of the musicians and explains the magnitude of this accomplishment.
In life, we have choices, from picking a college to picking an instrument. For Savannah Mellenchamp, that was a decision that was made for her.
And I was really bad at every single one except for the trombone, so that was my first pick.
That was then, and this is now. She's fine-tuning a new song. Just days after she was center field at the Grand National Championship.
Being 6th place in a pool of 108 bands from over 30 different states is quite the accomplishment.
An accomplishment that this senior trombone player won't forget.
Knowing that we are the best Wando that Wando has ever been is just a great experience.
Getting here wasn't easy. It was 20 hours a week worth of practice, time that she says was paid off with this last song.
For a split second, I turned around and just seeing all those people in the stands just cheering.
Mellenchamp's last high school performance was one for the record books.
It's very bittersweet knowing that that was my last performance ever, and at the same time knowing that that was the best performance I've ever had.
It won't be her last time ever taking the field. Now, she has a choice on if she wants to play under the lights at Williams-Brice.
I'll know if I'm accepted by December, and then I'll hopefully plan to study music education there.
In life, we have choices. Some of Mellenchamp's were made for her. Now it's up to her on what she does with it.
In order to begin construction or repairs on your home, you typically need a building permit, which can cost hundreds of dollars. But that's just another burden on those affected by Hurricane Florence. Next at 7, how county officials are helping ease that burden. A special pair of glasses is giving people who are blind or visually impaired a chance to see for the first time.
5 people received these eSight glasses. Now, this is a breakthrough technology that can restore vision to some people who can't see.
The recipients, some of them as young as 7, live in North Carolina. Now they're looking forward to seeing Christmas lights, reading, or watching sports games.
Yeah, one woman says the glasses helped her young daughter see her for the first time.
I hope that they're able to, other kids are able to find out about these devices and hopefully be able to get them too, because I feel like every child deserves this opportunity.
The Lumberton Lions Club is an organization that helps the blind and visually impaired, and they raise the money for these glasses.
Horry County government is easing some of the financial burden of rebuilding for those whose homes were affected by Hurricane Florence.
Christina Loeb has more on a decision by county leaders that gives storm victims a break on building fees.
In a unanimous vote, County Council passed a resolution that would waive the fees for permits needed to make repairs to damage done by Hurricane Florence. Now, in order to begin construction or repairs on your home, you typically need to secure a building permit, which could cost you hundreds of dollars. In total, nearly 1,700 structures in the unincorporated areas of Horry County saw flood damage related to Florence, all with varying degrees of damage. Horry County Councilman Johnny Vaught says waiving permit fees is a small price to pay for helping people get back on their feet.
I felt very strongly that these people that had flood damage to their homes, this is not a home improvement they're trying to do. They're trying to get their lifestyle back. You know, and so many of them were actually thrown out of their homes and are staying in motels or staying with friends or whatever, you know. And I think that anything that we can do as a county to help these people.
The fee will be waived for storm victims through the end of January. People who already paid a permit fee can be reimbursed. Reporting in Horry County, Christina Loeb, WNBF News.
All right, Florence, stuck in the 40s out there tonight. Dry for now, but rain increases for all of us as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. Your ups and downs and rain chances and temperatures coming up at 7:30.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WNBF News at 7:30.
Police in our upstate are searching for the mother of a days-old baby who was handed to a stranger on the side of the road. More details on that story ahead. Plus, if you've been tagged online in a secret sister gift exchange, you should be wary. We have what you need to know. But first, here's a live look over Myrtle Beach through our tin roof sky cam. Not many people out there on the beach tonight. It is a bit chilly. It is November. As Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold explains, the morning will bring warmer temperatures, but sadly, also some wet weather too. Jamie.
Yeah, very similar to what we saw earlier in the week. A storm system pushes some very warm air onshore at the beaches, but also brings with it some pockets of heavy rain. That Thursday morning commute going to feature rain at times for everybody, and some of it, yes, will be heavy enough to slow you down and give us some ponding on some roads and spots, and also some gusty winds likely to develop, especially closer to the Grand Strand. Now, right now, out there, things are dry. If you're getting set to head out for dinner, the only place you're going to run into a little light rain is west of I-95. Elsewhere, it's just cloudy, breezy, and chilly. Upper 40s inland, low 50s on the beaches. But watch what happens as we head through the rest of the night tonight. The first thing you'll see, the rain really fills in. And after midnight, some pockets of heavy rain will be possible. But also notice at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, these temperatures actually climbing into the low 60s on the beaches, while once you get to Conway westward, we're stuck in the 40s. We're going to have some spots on the Grand Strand hitting 70 before temperatures fall tomorrow afternoon. I'm taking you through all those ups and downs coming up in my First Alert forecast.
Tonight at 7:30, we're continuing to follow reports of possible human remains found in Murrells Inlet. Georgetown County officials say a man found the bones along the Waccamaw Neck Bikeway. To make it clear, though, these bones have not yet been identified as human remains. Deputies tell us it's still too early in the investigation to identify the bones. Right now, they're just trying to get control of the scene and retrieve evidence. We'll bring you the latest on the still developing story, both on air and online. A Florence man has been sentenced to 18 months in federal prison for conspiracy to manufacture and pass counterfeit money. In January, 33-year-old Chantelli Howard pled guilty to the charges, and today he was sentenced. Evidence presented to the court showed that Howard was involved in a conspiracy to manufacture and pass counterfeit $100 and $50 bills in multiple states, including the Carolinas. The conspiracy, which began in 2015, included at least 9 co-conspirators who were responsible for making and passing over $100,000 in counterfeit money. Along with 18 months in federal prison, Howard will serve 3 years of court-ordered supervision. Meanwhile, 28-year-old Joshua Nance pleading guilty to the same charges in court today. He's also involved in the conspiracy to pass and manufacture over $100,000 in counterfeit money. We're told Nance faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison. He'll be sentenced at a later date. Tonight, a teenager is behind bars after allegedly assaulting a 3-year-old girl last month. 18-year-old Christopher McAndrew, here on your screen, is charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor. A nurse told police the victim had a minor scratch on her private area back on October 5th. Witnesses say the suspect was watching the child the day before, and the child allegedly complained that McAndrew had touched her and needed, quote, a timeout. A detective has been assigned to this case, and the Department of Social Services has been notified. Meanwhile, McAndrew is being held at the J. Reuben Long Detention Center. Right now, this man you're about to see is facing charges after police say he grabbed an Excitement adult superstore employee by the neck and forced himself inside the business before robbing it and stealing her car. The employee tells police she was opening the business Monday when she saw Williams kneeling down outside the back door. That's when he grabbed her by the neck and made her open the cash register. He then asked for the keys to her car. 52-year-old Jerry Williams is charged with common law robbery, strong-armed robbery, and assault and battery in the 3rd degree. The search is on for the mother of a days-old infant who was handed to a stranger on a street in the upstate. Greenville police say a woman flagged down a person driving in the area of Augusta Street and Dunbar Street Saturday night around 9:30. She reportedly handed the newborn baby to the person in the car and left. Police say the woman told the person she could not take care of the child and then walked away. The driver then took that newborn to the hospital.
Ultimately, we would really like to speak with her and make certain that she is the mother of the child. And if her desire is not to care for the child, then help facilitate the process of finding somebody who does want to care for the child.
Police think the baby was born last Thursday or Friday. The person described the mother as African American, about 5'2", weighing around 190 pounds. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Greenville Crime Stoppers. Benchmark, a company hired to come up with a master plan for downtown, presented a draft of their vision and identity for Myrtle Beach. The company has several ideas they made available for the public's input. Some of those ideas include expanding the oceanfront boardwalk area and bringing new attractions, restaurants, and parks there. But something they emphasized, if they want to make these changes, is they'll need to make the downtown and oceanfront more pedestrian friendly.
We talk about connectivity. Are things connected? Can people get to and from? And I think that starts showing, how can we get people from the neighborhoods to the ocean and vice versa? So I think that begins a connection throughout that downtown area, whether it's through a neighborhood, whether it's from downtown to the beach or whatever it might be. So those were kind of key areas to look at. Rather than you got to sidewalk everything, it's like, what are some key locations that really are pedestrian focused?
Benchmark will present its final master plan to the city in February, but will hold a public meeting before then. Right now, that meeting's tentatively scheduled for January 8th of next year. And as we gear up for the holiday season, the Better Business Bureau wants you to be aware of a popular scam making its way around social media. Amy Kawada shares what you need to know about this illegal scam. Well, ladies, you may have already seen posts like this circulating Facebook. I know some of us here at the station have already been tagged just this week. It's called Secret Sister Gift Exchange, but don't fall for it.
In fact, the Better Business Bureau reports it as a scam. Here's how it works. The online trend tells you to buy a gift for at least $10, add your name to a list, and then promises you'll receive dozens of presents in the mail in return. In order to join, you need to provide personal information like your home address. Sounds too good to be true? Well, that's because it is. You may be tempted to share it, but the United States Postal Service says it's against the law. The BBB calls it a modern version of a chain letter scheme or pyramid scheme. Not only is it illegal, but if you participate, you could be the subject of mail fraud and your personal information could fall into the wrong hands.
It is a targeted scam toward women. And I think that's because women, especially at Christmas, want everybody to feel loved and appreciated. And it's like, oh, what's $10? $10 to make somebody I don't know happy, it's a great feeling. And in reality, it all sounds good, but these scammers know how to play on your emotions, and that's what they're doing with this.
And to learn some tips on how you can protect yourself and what to do if you think you've been scammed this holiday season, head on over to our website, WMBFnews.com. In studio, Amy Kawada, WMBF News. Coming up at 7:30, law enforcement shows us how to protect ourselves in the case of an active shooter situation. Stick with us. Too often we're hearing about another shooting or of a student bringing a gun to class. Just yesterday, a gun fell out of a student's backpack at Newberry High School in the Midlands. Luckily, the student was quickly taken into custody and no one was hurt, but that's not always the case. Jason Raven talked with law enforcement about what you should do in an active shooter situation.
Oh, what's going on? We don't want you to do that. The world we're living in right now, you need some type of emergency plan and training.
Lieutenant Danny Brown says when it comes to active shooter situations, you can never be too prepared.
Take a minute when you're going in somewhere, look around, see where your closest exits are.
Finding a way out can make all the difference. This is how you avoid.
And I would rather go for one of these exit signs.
If there's no exit, you can keep doors closed with belts and use tables and chairs to barricade the doorway. Deny the shooter from getting to you.
Put as much stuff between that door and the bad guy as you can.
Stay away from the doors and stay quiet. Law enforcement is doing everything they can to stop the shooter.
Really mad.
And that barricade can also buy you some time to find another way out.
Windows is your best bet. You got all these chairs and tables, everything you can use to break out.
If the shooter does find a way into your safe location, you defend.
This right here could actually save your life, believe it or not.
Using whatever you have around you.
Defending yourself is one of those things. If they come into the area where you, your friends, your family, coworkers are caught and they start shooting, you're going to have to defend yourself. You can't just sit back there and take it.
Now, the important thing is to remain calm and wait for the all clear from law enforcement.
It's a tradition. The oldest Marine gets the very first piece of cake. Coming up in this week's This is Carolina Embrace a Veteran, we meet up with a 99-year-old veteran at a Marine ball. His most memorable days serving our country, plus what he's planning for his 100th birthday. That's ahead at 7:30. His daughter calls him her hero and supports him by accompanying him to his favorite hobby, military balls. He's 99 years young, and in tonight's This is Carolina Embrace a Veteran, we're honoring him.
Decades may have passed since these Marines have served, but their pride for serving will never pass.
I love the Marines, and I still love them.
A toast to all veterans, past, present, and future.
They're all celebrating the Marine Corps' 243rd birthday and the traditions that go with it, like the oldest Marine getting the first piece of cake. Last week, the honor went again to 99-year-old Marine John Shea.
Master Sergeant to the Second Lieutenant, First Lieutenant.
Major Shea says he loves the military balls.
Getting the first piece of cake. I got the first cake here.
Especially since he's usually a shoo-in for the first piece of cake, but he's earned it. 27 years and 4 months he dedicated to the Marine Corps. He was born in 1919, and in 1939, after hitchhiking to and from Florida for a job with no success, he went to join the Army.
Walked into the Army recruiting station, and they said, "We're not taking anybody." Have you tried the Marines?
He says his father initially said he didn't want another son in the military and wouldn't sign for him, but changed his mind. And John Shea became a bugler for the Marines. He worked his way up and became a crew chief on planes. He says one of his most memorable days is when his plane's engine stalled and they were 123 feet from the ground. And another day when they were shot at by the enemy. He fought in World War II and the Korean War. And today we honor him for his service. And look forward to June 16th of next year for his 100th birthday plans.
Up on a plane.
What makes you want to do that?
Something to do.
He says for his 100th birthday this June, he's going to be jumping out of an airplane. Major Shea and his family even bought him a new uniform for last Wednesday's ball since he doesn't have his original anymore. He went to another ball at Camp Lejeune over the weekend. If you have a veteran like Major John Shea you'd like to honor, please share it with us. Tell us about it in a Facebook message or email us at goodnews@WMBFnews.com.
Now, WMBF News First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
All right, heading into the day Thursday, let's get you ready for number one, a lot of rain, and number two, some up and down temperature swings, especially going to be seeing those swings across the beaches. Been mentioning the cool weather we have out there now, 40s and 50s. Notice here across the Grand Strand, 63 at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. With that 63, though, we've got a good chance of locally heavy downpours at times. Can't even completely rule out a rumble of thunder. Those temperatures continue to climb all the way up to 70 by the late morning hours as off and on downpours continue. Once we get past lunchtime, though, those rain chances quickly shut down, but the temperatures also fall. So we'll go from the upper 60s to near 70 through midday, quickly down into the 50s and upper 40s and low 50s as we head towards dinner time tomorrow evening. So a much chillier finish to the day compared to the warm start we're going to have on the beaches. Now, once you head inland, the warmth's not going to make it inland at all. In fact, as warm as we'll get tomorrow across most of the PD, it's right around 50. Most of the day going to be spent with temperatures in the 40s. The heaviest of the rain comes the first half of the day. Then we taper that rain off once past lunchtime, but we do manage to hold on to those cloudy skies. Now here is that system we are watching. You can see the rain really lining up now here across Georgia, beginning to creep its way into southern South Carolina. And notice as we head through the overnight hours tonight, that rain really fills in, and tomorrow morning we have those pockets of heavy rain on top of us. That continues through the late morning hours towards lunchtime with lingering downpours. But there we go. Tomorrow afternoon, the rain begins to pull out. It's still cloudy, but then as we head towards Thursday night into Friday, the drier air finally moves in. That gives us mostly sunny skies, and that manages to stick around for a while. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up.
On Capitol Hill, new members are still weeks away from being sworn in, but already down to business with the first major task, choosing their party leadership. House Democrats are facing a crossroads as they prepare to choose a speaker, years of experience with Nancy Pelosi, or pick a new face to lead the party. NBC's Blaine Alexander has the story from Washington.
Well, Meredith, many newly elected members have promised they will bring change to Washington, and for some Democrats, that includes within their own party. But so far, nobody has publicly said that they're willing to challenge Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. For the newest members of the House, the first big decision comes before even taking office. Picking their new leader. Democrats taking control of the House in January.
The mood is very good.
Preparing to elect a speaker. Nancy Pelosi first became speaker in 2007 and has led Democrats ever since, now ready to step back into her old job.
What's your level of confidence?
High. But there is some division. Some Democrats saying they need experience at the helm.
We need somebody who has been battle tested, and she has been.
But at least a dozen incoming members say they want a new face to push the party forward. That echoed by some current House Democrats.
The American people want change, and we're going to try to give it to them.
With the loss of House control on the Republican side, Congressman Kevin McCarthy going from majority leader to minority leader.
We serve in a divided government and a divided country. Our goal is to unite us back together again.
In the Senate, Republican Mitch McConnell and Democrat Chuck Schumer still leading their parties as new GOP members pose for their first picture, among them Rick Scott, even though his Florida Senate race is still in the midst of a recount. Both chambers looking ahead to a new Congress, but the current one scrambling to pass a spending bill to avoid a government shutdown next month. Republicans pushing to include billions of dollars for a border wall, while Democrats want a measure protecting Special Counsel Robert Mueller and the Russia investigation. And for the first time in 7 years, Senate Republicans will have a woman on their leadership team, Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. In Washington, Blaine Alexander, WMBF News.
Less than 6 weeks until it's time to open those gifts on Christmas morning. Coming up, we'll tell you which toys you don't want under your tree for safety purposes. Stick with us.
We've been telling you about the 13-year-old girl who was kidnapped from her Lumberton home for more than a week now.
Now, this developing story may cause some concern for parents, so we checked in with law enforcement to hear what tips are out there to teach kids or possibly code words.
To help keep your loved ones safe, wake up with us tomorrow, starting at 5 for WMBF News Today.
The holidays seem to start earlier and earlier every year, but before you stock up on gifts, Doug Meehan shows us one safety advocacy group's list of the worst holiday toys this season.
These claws are sold as slash claws.
This morning, the World Against Toys Causing Harm, or WATCH, revealed what they consider to be the 10 worst toys of 2018. From stuffed unicorns to purple tutu-wearing Cabbage Patch dolls or Nerf ring launchers, WATCH says these gifts that you think may be good for under the tree this year may actually pose a potential risk for children.
These are accessories that can be removed and once removed, present the potential for choking hazard.
According to this consumer agency, one child is treated in U.S. emergency rooms every 3 minutes for toy-related injuries. From poor design, inadequate warnings, and improper age recommendations, Watch says they want parents to be aware of what they may be buying for their kids this holiday season.
Children should never be used as testing grounds for unsafe toys.
However, not everyone is on board with their findings. Jennifer Gibbons of the Toy Association represents several hundred different toy makers across the U.S. and say many of Watch's claims are unfounded.
Watch has never tested any of the toys that they include in their reports, and so most of this information is, based on misunderstandings or misrepresentations.
It doesn't take a testing lab, frankly, to pull out a toy that's sold for a baby, an infant, that has a small part.
All right, there it is on First Alert Doppler radar. Our rainmaker, soaking rain all across the Deep South, and that's heading our way as we head through the late night hours tonight into the first half of the day. Tomorrow, those rain chances, yeah, it's a slam dunk. A washout, especially from the morning commute through midday. That temperature swing, though, it's all over the place. Don't be fooled by that 70. That comes during the late morning hours through about lunchtime at the beaches, and then we fall into the 50s.